Yeah, I'll let that one go because the stash is outlandish, and the hair is swiveling. This is the hair.
Whose champion has the best hair?
All right, stop it. We're
Hecarim, he's got a mate.
Champion diversity.
Lucian.
Greg. Champion diversity. This is something that I personally want a lot of clarification on because on the last couple episodes we have talked about champion diversity in like very weird, pointed ways. Like,
what do you mean weird?
Well, it never felt like it got its own thing. We're just kind of like, oh yeah, we buffed some champions and nerfed, and then because of that, right? And so when like strategic diversity, we did like a rundown and like a dev blog and like everything on. So give me your verbal dev blog and agreement. Sign in blood with your pen. Champion diversity. What is champion diversity?
So League of Legends has a lot of champions, and we feel like, you know, kind of the contract we have with players is you should be able to play them. It doesn't make sense to keep making champions when the pool is really, 20 or so that are viable. So I think we're successful in champion diversity when someone feels like they can actually play their favorite champion rather than feeling like, well, I'll wait one day to maybe they'll buff whoever.
Right.
And that every game you don't see the same enemies. Like, it's okay if you're a Jinx main, it's okay if you're a LeBlanc main, but you shouldn't always see Jinx and LeBlanc in every game you're playing that everyone else is doing too. You should feel like, as you're building a comp going in, that you think about, well, which of the marksmen is really going to build this comp correctly? Is this a good situation for Vayne? Is this a good situation for Kog'Maw or whatever?
Are there enough things in the world to just make it so you can have 120 different champions with 4 abilities and a passive that are drastically different from each other? Well, enough to warrant each one of them being playable? Because there's going to be a time where split push just isn't a good strategy, right? And you're not going to see the split push champions. Like, is this actually something that is feasible, or is this just like a dream goal that we talk about to try and get to? Like, I try to dream of like the perfect shoutcast, but that's never going to happen.
Well, not with that attitude. Aiden, come on.
But you strive for it all the time.
Don't give me that.
So is there something we strive for and it's not obtainable?
It's a compass heading. I mean, realistically, we're not going to see every ADC played, in equal proportions in every region at every skill level. But we can do a lot better than we can do today. Yeah. And ADCs aren't in a bad place right now, but junglers, you're not seeing them all. They're very tanky junglers, and even among them, we're not getting full representation out there. And you're right, we're going to have to take a lot of champions who kind of occupy really similar niches of like, oh, I'm the super fast marksman, or I'm the Amumu who can jump in and stun everyone in a circle. We have to find new things that champions can do when they're jumping into a team fight, to where when you're building a comp at the beginning of the game, you can say, oh,
it's not just who's the best.
Right.
Who's the best?
Who does the most damage?
I would say another thing, right? Because this patch we have Aatrox buffs, Shen buffs, Malphite buffs, trying to kind of bring up some of the lower level guys, and we have more in recent memory been trying to look at people that are not in the greatest spot and bring them up a little bit as well, and try to unlock that feeling of like, oh, I can't play my character.
Yeah. Another thing I think is kind of hard to balance is poke champions too. We have some nerfs to Luden's Echo here in this patch that's going to hit both assassins and also those poke type champions. This is an item that's been a big pain point for me as a player for in my games, just running into this on every mid laner and everybody who could possibly build this item, building it first or second.
Supports and top laners and junglers as well.
Do you like AP? Everywhere. Do you like movement?
Yeah. It's basically it's a catch-all right now, right? Do you need movement speed? There you go. Do you have movement speed? It stacks on that. It's like all these great things. You have low cooldown, high cooldown spells. It's good with everything. Now, when we're reducing the stacks from 20 to 10 per cast, it's going to be more of a niche thing. Yeah. It's going to be better on people who have mobility and people who cast a lot of spells, as opposed to people who are like, okay, well, I cast one spell every now and then. And the AP ratio going down isn't going to affect it too much early in the place that it has, because it's like a first item buy, because you want that extra base damage to help you kill like a backline minion wave, or the AP Kog'Maw to rain down some terror on people in a poke fight. So this I think is a good nerf for Ludens that's still going to keep it relevant and in the game, and I don't think it's too much.
Awesome.
So I think it's going to keep it in a good spot.
Talking about another prominent character with Ludens, I wanted to get your feelings on LeBlanc because we played a playtest today, and things did not go well for you. You're playing Jace, who we can probably talk about in a bit. You were against LeBlanc, and I wanted to get your perspective because I saw on Twitter Shifter and Skara had a lot of harsh words to say about the LeBlanc changes. There's like a GIF that someone made of like the before and after, right? So How did you feel about the nerfs playing against them, actually?
So I felt like there was a lot of counterplay to it now, because LeBlanc's combo is usually I Q you, I W you in lane, and try to just knock you out of lane with a point and click and something very quick. So this is going to add to that. It's not going to be LeBlanc just wins lane by hitting level 2, throwing these 2 abilities at you, or just keep having that pattern whenever you're in range and go up for a CS. Like, she will win a majority of the trades. The thing, though, is it might be a little too slow for the laning phase, because like she can still use it from Fog of War late game, right? I feel like this might be a nerf that hits her a little too hard, especially in a meta where she was kind of falling off anyway, because things were getting so tanky. And her play pattern was, I need to kill squishies. So when everything's tanky, she's not successful.
Yeah, so that said, though, if LeBlanc gets nerfed, you can play more squishies, right? Yeah. Like that is the one thing. I hear exactly what you're saying, and I agree. Like, when I think of LeBlanc, because I watch a lot of competitive, but I play a lot more, I think of LeBlanc as that reason that I get sad when I look at my champion select. I'm like, if LeBlanc's the enemy team, I'm not quite as sad, but I'm like, here's all the characters I can't play, and here's the ones that I can, right? And so my hope is that something like that means that were I to see it, or maybe if people pick her less, you can see more things like Lux, Vel'Koz maybe kind of come in.
And I like that perspective too, because I'm a tank player, so seeing this, I'm just like, oh, well, LeBlanc, I'm probably never going to see her again, because she was never doing anything to me in the first place, right? Like, she could snowball a game really hard, but having the perspective of somebody who plays like these squishy characters is actually pretty enlightening to me, but I still feel like it might be a little too much. Like, it's going to be better for people that you like to play. Like, Vel'Koz, very low mobility champion.
Yeah.
And now that she has less mobility,
very smart.
There's a little more even footing there. But I don't know, because that feels like it was LeBlanc's thing. Like, I'm totally down for the E changes and the E nerf. Totally down for that. I think that's very needed. But I feel like this might be too much on her at the same time, especially like in comparison to how the meta is shifted to a tank role.
And if it's too much, we can give her compensation elsewhere.
Yeah, I feel like that would be the idea.
We talk so much about balance, but there are other things, to the game, and she's a frustrating, many assassins can be frustrating to play against, and she's kind of the queen of the frustrating, there was nothing I could do. She got into me, she fired off all her abilities.
And then your teammates are like, there's nothing I could do, because she just disappeared.
Yeah, well, I caught her, and then she disappeared anyway. Like,
hey,
you just...
Hey, come back.
She's so sneaky, yeah.
So, taking it back a little bit, I mentioned him, Jace. You played him.
Yeah.
You did not do very well.
Yeah.
At all.
That was LeBlanc, we've established.
Exactly. I was just like, because I was jungling that game, and I was like, should we just swap computers at that point? Like, should you jungle? Yeah. Do you just feel better when you take Smite? Is that something about it? No, you were excited when we talked earlier this week about the changes, and now that you got a chance to play them, I want to know how you feel.
I feel like Jace, despite my poor performance on him, was really good. I felt very comfortable with the champion. The change is almost seamless, because you never put points into his ultimate anyway.
Right.
And you just wanted more of the poke pattern.
And now you can take the other abilities up to 6, because you...
Exactly. The fact that you can get that Q even further and the 30 extra base damage and just pushing him more towards that poke pattern is going to make him feel really good. And you never feel like you're wasting points ever. With Jace before, you're like, I kind of want an R point, but it kind of sucks. So now you get that automatically, you get that extra power boost. And the thing I like about this too is he's gonna be another champion that isn't ult reliant, because we have so many champions in our game that are ultimate reliant. And that's the thing in pro play too, is people are like, let's pick these skirmishing comps. Let's pick a Rek'Sai that doesn't need an ultimate in a team fight. So Jace is another champion that's gonna have that going for him too, which would be another niche that you would pick him in.
Yeah.
Talking about late game guys, Shen, the possible return of Shen, things that are happening with him. Like, we're buffing his late game, specifically his split pushing, which I know is like emotionally triggering most people that will hear this. They're like, oh no.
Well, he used to be the guy that could do that, and now with teleport as a thing, it's like not so special anymore. Before this changed. Right. Hopefully now, yeah.
Well, so are we ever going to change that, or do you think we should change that, right? Because that's like, teleport has had a pretty huge impact in the game in the last season and a half that it's been adopted, 100%. You're not seeing Ignite much up there, at least in terms of competitive play.
I think it's pretty common.
So I guess what I'm saying is that a bad thing? Would it be like, oh, Shen's niche is gone now, let's make everyone else not take teleport? Or do you think the teleport being used widespread in the top lane is actually probably better for League?
Personally, I think the teleport's a good change overall. The top lane always... Players like it because it's, it's the lane where I get to prove my own mettle because there's no one who can come help me out. But on the other hand, you can be so far removed from the rest of the game that I like teleport, adding a little bit more ability within reason there. But Shen needs a reason to exist too. So maybe we're trying to have it both ways, but we want all top laners to have a little more access to movement and split pushing and things like that. But Shen is supposed to be, you know, the tanky ninja that can go up there, be taking turrets alone. And
I didn't want to laugh. I was like,
the tanky ninja killing buildings.
Just imagining Shen with a bunch of hammers just beating the hell out of a building. This is my identity.
He's got a big shield because he's a tank now.
Oh, God. So
we have a lot of ninjas in League of Legends. They all have to have a little bit of differentiation.
Yeah, I know they do. So, are you just not a Shen fan? Are you not excited about these changes particularly?
I'm not really excited about these changes too much, just because I feel like they're a little bit of a Band-Aid problem for him. Like, we're kind of trying to cover something up for a little bit where it's
that is totally fair. And that's,
let's just throw him some changes. Maybe he'll be better after that.
This is one of those things we do to, you know, Urgot was similar, like, maybe we can get players who really love the champion to play them a little bit now with the promise that we eventually fix it.
Yeah, but I have a question about that, because if you're updating something and then people are like, oh my God, I love Shen right now. I love these changes to him and the fact he reduced energy costs and stuff like that. Like, now he's great and he's playable. And then you're like, we got to change him. They're like, wait, what do you You're just taking away this thing you gave us.
Well, yeah, I mean,
like, if people are enjoying Urgot again, then you're like, we're changing Urgot to something completely different.
Right.
Like that's always a weird thing to tread for me, where we're like buffing something just to like stave people and be like, you can still play this champion right before we change it into a different champion.
I mean, that's certainly a risk, and we try not to strip a champion's identity away completely when we do an update. And I think we've been better about it recently than we did when we first kicked off updates. But at the same time, it feels mean to players to be like, you know, 2017, you'll get to play your favorite champion again.
Yeah, like that is the balancing point, right? Because I think what you say is super valid, right? And I think there are a lot of people, hopefully less and less, but a lot of people who love their champions when they get updated, they're almost like fearful of an update. They're like, oh, they're going to take away the thing that I love. But I'm excited to see what happens when Shen starts seeing play in League of Legends again at a time when like Gnar exists, right?
Yeah, I feel like since Bami's Cinder is more accessible, you have the wave clear early on. It gives him HP, which gives him more damage on key strike. I think he'll be in an okay spot. Cool. He'll be able to do Shen things, but there are lane bullies out there. He can't really shut anybody in the top lane down. But then when you play Shen, it's going to be like, how good is my jungler? How strong does he scale? And his early game laning phase has been the only thing that's like, maybe he's not that great at it with the people coming up right now. But we'll see what happens with him, because right now,
you sound just so over it. You're just
I'm just like, meh.
I love his like Jace, LeBlanc, Assassins. I'm so excited. And then, I mean, I guess we'll have to see Shen. What that's gonna be.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That is probably good enough for me. I guess we'll see how it is whenever the patch comes out. So back to the champions that have funny hair.
Oh, yeah.
Draven.
Right, Draven is one.
Jax.
Echo is another. Jax, well, we don't know.
I know.
Do you know?
You don't know?
Part of being Ghostcrawler means I get to see